All right, welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us today for our Farm Bill brief. My name is Matt Neese. I'm with Carolina Farm Stewardship Association as the South Carolina Policy Coordinator.
And I am Jalen Jared Cates. I work in North Carolina for CFSA and our policy shop.
And we are here to talk about the Farm Bill. It comes up every few years or so. And before we got into it this year, we wanted to explain a little bit about why this is important. We work in the policy shop at CFSA. We deal with this on a daily basis, but for most people, this is all kind of new to them. So we wanted to break down what the Farm Bill is, where did it come from, why it's important, and then where do we go from here. So let's just start really simple. Can you tell us a little bit about what the Farm Bill is and kind of where it came from?
Yeah, for sure. So the Farm Bill originated in the 1930s. It was three original bills that were enacted by Franklin Delano Roosevelt as a response to several things happening in the country at the time. The Dust Bowl had occurred. We were coming out of a depression, and we needed to create ways to ensure that farming could be done in a conservation-minded way that did not create another Dust Bowl, and in a way that was both fair for consumers and for farmers. So many things have changed in that legislation, since the 30s, obviously, but that is the origination of the Farm Bill, was in the 1930s coming out of the New Deal.
Awesome. I mean, and I know this next question is going to be kind of a catch-all, but what does the Farm Bill do and why should our viewers care?
Yeah, I mean, so while it's changed a lot and things have been added to the Farm Bill over the past, almost 100 years, the goals remain the same. It really is the biggest piece of federal legislation to affect food and farming and nutrition and rural development in our country. It influences so much from what is grown to who grows it, to how it's grown, to what is done with those products after they're grown, and to how we get and access those goods. And then really it does a lot to invest in rural communities. The rural title is a large title that encompasses way more things than just food and agriculture.
So it sounds kind of like the Farm Bill, I mean, especially for CFSA member farms and folks all around the country, there's really almost everyone is touched by the Farm Bill and the policy within the Farm Bill in some way. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think every time you eat something, every time you consume food, every time you look at a plate of food, that food has been influenced by those federal policies, the price of it, and all those different things that I just laid out. So really, you can't, even if you don't know what the Farm Bill is, it is affecting you every day. And not only does it affect farming, it affects nutrition. I mean, many people don't know the biggest part of the Farm Bill is the nutrition title, which we'll talk about in another video. So it is the largest piece of legislation affecting food, farming, and nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and to that point, because there's so much policy contained within the Farm Bill, when it comes to affecting change or adding components to the Farm Bill or increasing funding, that's kind of the purpose of why we're here, is trying to figure out how do we advocate for change within the Farm Bill. One thing I hear about all the time and we encounter in policy work are things called marker bills. What are marker bills and what exactly do they do as it relates to the Farm Bill? What kind of role do they play?
Yeah, so the Farm Bill is a unique piece of legislation where it expires and has to be reauthorized every 5 years. There's not a lot of federal legislation similar to that. So every 5 years, this giant piece of legislation has to be reauthorized, and it's kind of set schedule. So as part of that, marker bills are introduced in the years leading up to farm bills as kind of like teaser pieces of legislation that are like, hey, we think this should be included in the farm bill. We want to see if there's any political capital or any political will to include this. So marker bills will start getting introduced the year or two before the farm bill. That'll basically have like farm and agricultural and food system concepts that they'll try to get bipartisan support on, and they're not necessarily meant to be passed, but they're meant to be gaining support and traction so that once those committees start the work on the farm bill, they can say, hey, this marker bill had this much interest and there was bipartisan support for it. We really should include it in the farm bill. So that's what markers bills are. They're a piece of federal policy that's not just pertinent to farm bill, but all federal policy, and that's what we're starting to work on and have been working on the past couple of years is working on marker bills with our partners at the National Sustainable Ag Coalition in DC.
Well, as it relates to policy change and marker bills, I mean, what role can CFSA members and just anyone watching this video, what role can they play as it relates to advocating for change within the Farm Bill? I mean, what opportunities are there for people to engage in the Carolinas?
Yeah, so there's plenty. But we got like another I guess 11 months now. So the last farm bill expires at the end of September 2023. So we have until October 1st to hopefully get a new farm bill passed. So the next year is going to be a very busy year for us on the policy team and all the folks that we are in coalition with across North and South Carolina. But any CFSA member, be you a farmer or a backyard grower, you can get engaged. And there is a coalition in North Carolina called the North Carolina Food System Advocacy Coalition that's been meeting for a couple of years and already meeting with our congressional delegation about some of their farm bill priorities. And we're going to be inviting South Carolina residents and stakeholders to that coalition in 2023. So South Carolina residents are invited to join, even though that coalition has a North Carolina title. So we'll be meeting hopefully with every congressional every member of Congress from the Carolinas in 2022 and 2023. We have a lot of meetings ahead of us to communicate about our priorities and the priorities of our members. So I'd say the first step would be to get in touch with Matt or myself and chat about what you care about in the Farm Bill, and we'll figure out where your district is, and we'll get you plugged in and figure out when we can do a virtual or in-person meeting with your member of Congress. So that's step one. Get in touch with us, and we'll go from there.
Perfect, perfect. Well, this has been just kind of an overall description of the Farm Bill and its history, kind of give you some perspective about the role that the Farm Bill plays, why it's so important to farmers and non-farmers alike. Stay tuned for more videos in the future as we're going to explain a little bit about each component within the Farm Bill, some of the subjects that are covered, along with specific ways you can help us engage in advocacy to make the Farm Bill more accessible to all farmers and all non-farmers, and just improve the world of agriculture. So I really want to thank y'all for watching. Reach out to either of us if you've got any questions about how to get plugged in, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Thanks.